Hi, everybody. Happy Valentine's. So today's recording is on the famous Valentine's Day, February 14th. And I know that a lot of people are out having Valentine dinner, but we decided to do a special Black History Month, Valentine's Day shooting today, recording for
Yeah.
the YouTube community. So we have, okay, thanks for sharing your video, Fola. Thank you so much. God bless you, Uncle Fola, for being here. Justine, thank you for sharing your video. God bless you for being here. So at any point in time, do feel free to jump in. We're going to take the same format as we did last week. My name is Rose Joshua. I'm facilitating today. And so the topic, everybody remember our topic. What did we do last week? I know both gentlemen were here last week. So what did we cover last week, Uncle Fala, Mr. Justine? This is a test.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh dear.
21
Uh,
21 common mistakes. Okay, I'm going to share my screen.
21 common mistakes.
21 common mistakes Black people make.
Yes. How
And
we
how to fix them.
yeah.
So last week we looked at, let me just go back. Last week we covered numbers 1 to 4. So number 1 was financial illiteracy, not taking time to learn
Yeah.
how many work, sending the wrong message back home, renting instead of paying off your own mortgage, not understanding the power of OPM, especially insurance. So this is where we ended on February 7th. And so today we're going to continue with item number 5. So today's topic is actually quite interesting. I mean, today's items are quite interesting. And right away, we're going to have a bit of fun with numbers 5, 6, and 7. The reason I decided to join them, all those three together, is they're related. And the relationship is, you're going to see the relationship right away, but there are 3 separate axes of the same kind of category. So today, drum roll, numbers 5, 6, and 7, have your pen and paper handy so that when you are contributing, you can actually refer to them, because I'm going to stop sharing my screen for our discussion of each number. So number 5, not working together as one. Individualistic culture. Low cohesion community. There's a lot of words there. But the key thing is not working together as one. Individualistic, low cohesion community. Okay. Number 6. So the first one is not working together as one. Number 6 is spending our patronage money in other communities. And it says low internal circulation of dollars, meaning that when I have my money, instead of me to, and then I have my sister or my brother who have the services I need, but I'd rather take that money and go give it to somebody from another culture than to give it to my own people. That's low internal circulation of dollars. All right. They're not the same. These two are very big items by themselves, but I don't want us to spend too much time discussing them individually, so we're going to do that together. Now get ready for number 7. I hope you're writing this down. Hiding information from one another. And I put the word hiding in quotes, and I'm saying not showing the way to others. And this is a case where, let's say somebody has information that could benefit their brother from the same community, they don't share. But if you look at other cultures, they share information among themselves. So I'm going to stop sharing, and gentlemen, let us discuss open mic. What are your thoughts? How can we discuss these problems, and then how can we fix them?
Oh, mommy, please go back to number 5. I want to get the,
Go back to number 5.
yeah.
Go back to number 5. Okay, so number 5 is not working together as one. Individualistic culture. Number 6 is spending our money in other communities. Okay, low internal circulation of dollars. Number 7 is hiding information from one another. So these are some of the things that are killing us. Can you please, let's discuss, and how can we fix it for ourselves so we can move forward, so our people can do better, so our people can benefit. Go ahead, Uncle Fuller.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so yeah, number 5 point that you mentioned is not working together as one. This can be, I mean, as little as the immediate nuclear family not being able to communicate, maybe the spouses, together, to maybe the small, community of friends, immigrants, not being able to have enough confidence to see an opportunity, and want to bring somebody else into that opportunity to be able to grow alongside you. I think that's this item number 5, in a way, it's kind of has some similarity to item number 7, which says hiding information from one another. You could link it up in a little way, there. Well, this is obviously an issue, basically within our cultural group, especially here in Canada, unlike some other groups that we have seen, that has a better cohesion. I don't know. I think in terms of how do you move ahead, I think it's probably going to have to be based on, as much as possible, continue re-educating ourselves, continue to individually finding the one-on-one opportunity to show you can be a difference, from the negative norm, and yeah, and it's going to be like a trickle, dropping a trickle until maybe it's a culture that kind of catches on,
Yes,
But
yes.
I think it's going to be a trickle that is going to be quite, because I think it boils down to one, lack of trust,
Yes.
maybe by virtue of our backgrounds in terms of what we see or what we hear back home, and all that. So that's why I think it's going to it's a generational thing to change. But God will help us. I don't know if I'll be able to throw a bit perspective from my own side into that.
Yeah, there's a lot in there. And I want to say again, welcome to our brothers and sisters who are not sharing their video. Just a reminder that this is a YouTube recording. So you're welcome to share let's hear your voice. But again, if you're not comfortable with showing your face, that's fine. So welcome. Justin, go ahead. Please lend your voice to the conversation. What can we do to help our community to stop hiding information from one another? One, to stop spending our money in other, it is not that we won't spend our money in other communities, but I think it's more of giving priority to our own people before we spend the money elsewhere, right? That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah, thank you very much, Mami. I think what we are going through and what we lack is love. Because I believe if I love you, I want your betterment. And by doing so, is showing you anything I know that will benefit you. Yeah. Sometimes, I don't know if I should say that's African culture. They prefer giving money or helping others uh, than their brothers or sisters. So, and which is very, very bad. So I think the best thing, number one, we should do is start loving ourselves. By doing so, I think it will create a lot and it will bring benefit. Yeah, like I met somebody at Clearview Station. So we were discussing a Nigerian lady. So she was like, when she was in Nigeria, she had people talking about coming to Canada. I think she mentioned through work. So she said when they saw her, when she tried to get what they were discussing, they closed their mouth. And she was like, oh, if people have this opportunity, but you can't help your brother or your sister. So but she said it's when she came to Canada, she knew that there were opportunities like that. She understood what they were talking about. So I think the problem we have is not loving ourselves. And we prefer, Nigerians, we have ego. We want to show
And
I'm
we're
bigger
not talking
than
of
this
just like,
person.
I want to
Like,
just
okay,
pause.
Africans,
It's not a
Africans,
Nigerian thing, yes.
okay, Africans, we have ego. We love showing our brothers and sisters that we are bigger than them. I think that's where the problem is. If we should love ourselves, take everybody as ourselves, we will go a long way. So my own suggestion is let us start loving ourselves by doing so. Because I don't believe if I love you, I wouldn't see anything that will benefit you and give it to another person. Right? But some people choose to do that because they don't want you to be at the same level with them. So if we should love ourselves, I think love is the major thing. If we should love ourselves, we will go a long way. Thank you.
Mm. Okay, yeah, it's like yeah, we're in church now. Let's love one another. That's good. Now there are several sides to it, to this conversation. So again, I do know that there are certain communities that are very, very tight among themselves, and they whisper among themselves whatever information they get. And if you try to get in, you can't get in because you're not one of them, right? Whether we admit it or not in Canada, that it is human nature. So in order for us to help ourselves, we need to do more of that. Now, that is not to say that there are not people who are willing to offer information freely. There's a lot of people and a lot of groups I know that are willing to offer information freely. We just need to ask more questions. So if somebody comes in newly and they don't know, they need information, they shouldn't stay by themselves. Okay, because if somebody, I've seen a lot of people go, oh, I don't belong to this association. I don't belong to that association. I don't go to church. I just stay by myself. When you isolate yourself, what else are you looking for? You're not going to get the information that those associations have. So I want to encourage everyone, find your cultural association around you. Don't hide from your people, okay? Because those associations, because they're charitable organizations, they are not-for-profit organizations, they are actually like, that's where we're learning to get information and give it to our brothers and sisters. Okay, that's where, for example, you will hear, oh, there's a scholarship here, there's a job opportunity here, and they circulate it within the association. So I want to encourage us, don't hide from your brothers, because isolated people cannot win. All right, so that's one side of the conversation. The other side of the conversation, I know I was talking to somebody about patronage. And she's like, well, you know, I really try to patronize my people, but they don't do a good job. And so that is a challenge. If we want to be patronized, we need to step up and earn the trust of those people who are spending money on us. For example, if I'm a plumber and I send out my plumbing information to everybody, and somebody calls me and I go there and I do a shoddy job, next time she'll go find somebody else. Right? So on the one hand, we want our brothers and sisters to spend their money with us. On the other hand, we also need to step up, right? Does anybody have any additions to that? So we're talking about not hiding information. I mean, how we can move forward from hiding information from one another, working together as one. And what was the third one? Patronizing one another. Okay, so I'll tell you what, I'm a realtor, and a part of my business, I see a lot of this happening, where you have the builder is one culture, the realtor is the same culture, the mortgage broker is the same culture, the bank manager is the same culture. And so they, you know, working together, and so other people might feel marginalized, like, you know, like for us, we would feel marginalized. So here's a challenge I'm throwing out to us. We need to expand our horizons. We need to have representation everywhere. We need to expand. Okay, if I like to use the word infiltrate, if you want to use espionage, but it's not espionage. We need to expand and be everywhere. Because if we have our people everywhere, then it's easier for our people to get in. Am I making sense?
Sure.
Yeah. Okay, so please, more contribution before we move on to the next one. Those who are not showing their video, please, if you want to say something, please say something. You can unmute yourself, or you can type in the chat your opinion, and then we can read and add to the conversation. Anything else going once? Uncle Fola? Going twice? All right. Okay. I think we sort of discussed that quite a bit. The other thing, one last thing before I move on, is we have a business group, which is the Together Financial Group. And this group, we're trying to, you know, bring in people who will contribute money so we can, you know, do projects. So if you want to participate, let me know. You have my number, 780-680-1334. All right. So that's us trying to work together to become a stronger entity. And this is for business, this is not charity. All right. So next one, let me share my screen one more time. So we looked at, one last time, we looked at 5, 6, 7 already. Not working together as one, being individualistic, spending our money in other communities, hiding information from one another. 8, not having an OPM generational plan, not ensuring the children at birth or at the earliest opportunity. Okay, not having a proper generational plan. Now, we did introduce OPM last week, And that's not the a lot of people see OPM as borrowing money, and that's the most common environment in which it is used, borrowing money to do real estate. And then, you know, when you make your profit to pay back. But this OPM is other people's money that you don't have to pay back, which is insurance. So in Canada, generational planning starts when the child is born. So when a child is born, 2 weeks of age, you can write an insurance policy on that child. A parent can do that. All right. And is not, you know, if you tell an African person, Black person, say, oh, let's put a $1 million insurance policy on your child, the most common reaction you're going to get is, oh, some witch has sent you to come and kill my child. We're so superstitious. It's not funny. But that's so sad, because that's what part of what is holding us back, right? Because an insurance policy on a child is actually a business investment for that child. Because the way it works, so let's say you spend $200, you get a $1 million policy on that child. By the time the child is 90 years old, that policy is sometimes in like $10 million. And when they're buying the policy, they're not thinking that child is going to die. It's an investment. All right. And the amount of money you spend to insure a child for that amount is nothing compared to if you wait until you're 60 or 40, how much money you're going to be spending. So the best time to insure a human is when they're born. Why? Because in most cases, that's when they're the healthiest. And also in most cases, I mean, in all cases, that's when it's cheapest. And so having that generational plan is important. Let's discuss that before I say more. Please unmute yourselves and talk about the value. How can we move ourselves forward? How can we move ourselves forward so that we are creating generational wealth down the road for our children? I want to say a big welcome to Barrister City Law Offices, Barrister Ladi. Welcome, sir.
Thank you, Ma.
Thanks for sharing your screen. I'm very, very excited you're here because you can definitely help us with some of these topics. Yeah, thank you. So we just introduced generational wealth and how, as a Black community, we need to start building generational wealth so that we can create family legacies where money flows from generation to generation. Okay. So can we comment on that, and how can we help our people? Justine, Fola. Barrister.
Thank you, Dr. Rose.
Good evening, sir. God bless you.
I think this type of discussion, lecture is long overdue.
Mm-hmm.
The starting point should be in the dissemination of knowledge. Based on my experience, we immigrants and people in the immigrant community, we are bereft of so much knowledge here. We come here with the what we've learned from where we are coming from. The system here is quite different.
Yes.
So the first thing I would tell anybody is, yes, we need to know how, as I usually say everywhere, you know how the system works. Once you know how the system works, then you can now start about gathering wealth. Once you have the wealth, what do you do with it? It's not likely you are going to dissipate all the wealth that you have acquired during your lifetime. Then there has to be a way to ensure that the coming generation will not only inherit your wealth, but will be able to keep on growing it for their generations as well. So it's a good topic to discuss, and I'll be glad to contribute and to learn as well.
Mhm.
Because no knowledge is limited, and I'm happy to be here.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Very grateful. Yes. Yeah. Any other comments? Okay. I see Uncle Fuller is unmuting himself. Go ahead. No? Okay. So one of the most common mistakes I see as a financial broker is that so let's say we see somebody who says they come in the evening. Coming in the evening means the person came to Canada, let's say age 50, age 60. And so you look at the time horizon to 100 years and it seems far away. Or you look at life expectancy, time horizon to 85 years is like, I don't have time. That's one. And so many times we feel overwhelmed. And so it's like, how much money am I going to be able to save in order to accumulate so much? And it can be overwhelming. The other thing is the cost of insurance is so high at age 50, age 60, that a lot of people just give up. But here's the thing about generational planning. It's not just about you. It's also about the next generation. So if I am 60 and I find that insurance for me is expensive, very expensive, I can get whatever insurance I can afford just for my generation. But then I can help the next generation in their 30s to maximize their investments and to maximize their insurance. So that way, that generation that's 30 or that are in their 30s, they have a better chance of wealth in their generation and also for future. And then my grandchildren who are just being born, then we can also maximize their insurance and maximize their wealth, right? So if I show you, for example, if I bring up, I'm just gonna do an example with money, with what do you call it now? Dollar cost averaging, okay, with investment. So let's say we have our compound interest calculator. I'm gonna actually just share the screen now. All right. As a 60-year-old who is saving towards age 90, for example, you only have 30-year horizon. So let's say you're saving towards age 90, which is actually not the case. As a 60-year-old, most times they're saving towards age 70. So you only have 10 years, right? So if somebody is saving, say $500 a month, okay, let's say you're saving $500 a month, 10% per annum, right? And this person is 60 years old and you only have a 10-year horizon. That's 6,000 a year times 10. That's 60,000 capital. At the end of 10 years, at age 70, you only have 99, 100,000. And that is saving $500 a month. If you did the same thing for a 30-year-old man, again, saving to age 70 now, because I'm using the same end point. And that 30-year-old man does the same $500 a month at 10% for 40 years. He has more time. Okay? So you go, instead of 10 years, 40 years, you go from 99,000 to 2.7 million. So in order for us to really do generational wealth, we need to do it in layers. All right. Now, I know that the example may not extend to the 0-year-old child, especially because of the amount of 500. But let's say did the same for a 0-year-old baby, this time for 60 years, because this calculator stops at 60, you're looking at $19 million. Now, of course, you're not going to be saving $500 a month, but let's say you do $200 a month for this child. $200 a month for this child, you're still way up in more than $5 million. So what I'm trying to say is this. Generational wealth should not be short-sighted. Don't think, oh, I'm 60, I'm too old, I don't have time, so I can't do generational wealth planning. No. You've got to creatively arm your generations now. Arm your 30-year-olds now. Arm your 0-year-olds now, 5-year-olds. So that you can actually start setting things up while you are alive. And you set up a culture in which every child born in your family, they're doing something for them. And that's just on the investment side. Same thing, so like I have done for my grandbabies, everyone has $1 million insurance, no arguments. Don't even talk to me. My son and his wife, I was telling them, $1 million, no questions asked. Why? Because we're setting up that boy 3 generations down the road, they're covered. And from me, that's 5 generations down the road. That's generational planning. We gotta be more creative. Okay. You notice I can go about this one for a long time, so I'll stop. Any other comments? Any other comments on generational wealth? Okay, one more thing. Barrister is here. How many of us have a will? Everybody needs to have a will. Okay, everybody needs to have a will. Everybody needs to do their estate planning. Somebody sent me a question this evening. So, oh, can you help me do will and estate planning? So go talk to your lawyer. We have lawyers in the house who can help us with that. Barrister, can you help us talk about that, please? Wills, estate planning, and generational.
Yeah, so it's as part of this topic that we are discussing tonight. It's very important that as soon as you are 18 years old, an 18-year-old is regarded as an adult in this culture here. You should be getting your will. Actually, you'll be having your wills, power of attorney, and personal directive. The first part, the will, then we have what we call the living will. I know in our culture, where I'm a Nigerian, I come from Nigeria. We have this belief that once you draw a will, you are anticipating death. It's common in our culture. I don't know any other culture.
Yes.
Yeah, that you are going to die is not contingent on you having a will. When I started my practice here about 23 years ago, I've had 80 years coming to draw their will. And the 80 year, you'll be surprised at who is now over 100 years old is still alive. And I've had 29 years old coming to my office to draw a will and are dead. So having a will is just necessary. And a will is a document wherein you establish how your estate will be taken care when you are dead, will be taken care of when you are dead. I use this slogan that your will is done on earth while you are in heaven. So yeah, if you have accumulated all these assets, you don't want this going into the hands of people that did not contribute to it, or that people that you don't want even to have your money or your asset go to. If you don't have a will, it's not a game changer. Some of the people I've interviewed will say, I have a wife, everything goes automatically to my wife, goes to my children. That's not really correct here. It's not automatic. If you don't have a will and you pass, you still need to go through the hoops. You need to go through probate. Luckily for us here in Canada, we don't have estate tax, but you still have to go to probate before you can transfer your house to your wife. Although there is a way to circumvent this too by having your wife's name on title. That would be a topic for another time. But it's not automatic that if you pass, that all your property will automatically go to your wife or to your children. At the end of the day, your properties could go to them, but you have to go through a lot of administrative and bureaucratic things that you have to go through. So it's important you have your will to be able to lay down your instruction on how you want your estate to be distributed. So I will encourage you to make that part of your estate planning regime. Writing a will is not tantamount to debt that then you are ready to give up. It's just part of the planning, just like you buy insurance. Then do a will just in case something happens. And life is not predictable. Life is not predictable. Anything could happen at any time.
Wow. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you. We're getting a lot of value today. I'm really excited about that. Okay, so we're gonna go to the next common mistake. So I'm gonna share my screen one more time.
I have a question, ma.
Yes, ma. Stessa, please. This is perfect. Lawyer is here. Barrister is here. So yeah, ask your question. The question you were asking me this evening. Go
Thank
ahead,
you very
please.
much, Barrister, for the explanation. I just wanted to ask, like, what's the difference between a will and a trust?
Okay, thank you. Now, you're talking about the living trust here. They are similar, but the big difference is your will comes into effect after you have passed. So if you draft a will, you appear before me, it's executed. It's as just like any ordinary paper with you. You cannot use it at all until you've passed. However, a living will is a document here where you create, you are the person who is given that you have a property, then you create a trust. You appoint somebody called a trustee.
Okay.
And the trustee will distribute, will manage the property on behalf of beneficiary. The beneficiary can be you as well. You, but it cannot be only you. It can be you and other people.
Okay.
So the person who drafts a will is called a testator. Then we have beneficiary. As I said, it won't come into effect until you pass. But a living trust, you are the settler, you settle it, you appoint a trustee, then you appoint beneficiary. These are people who benefit from the trust. Funnily, in Canada here, you can be the settler, you can be the trustee, and you also can be a beneficiary. But you cannot be the only beneficiary. You have to be beneficiary with other people, like your children, your wife. Then a will is not necessarily registrable. You don't need to register it. But a living will, in order to make it effective, you need to register it with CRA. So it has its downside because every year you have to file taxes. Your trust needs to file taxes. You pay taxes too as well. But a will, you don't need that because a will will only come into effect after death. I hope my explanation is clear to you.
Yes, sir. So if somebody have a trust, you can always update it as time progresses. Like, what if at the time of having that trust, you don't have a child, like you don't have dependents yet, but afterwards, as time progresses, you began having children. Is it
It
something
depends. It depends on the type of trust. There are trusts that are called irrevocable trust. You cannot revoke them. There are those that are revocable. If it's revocable, you can revoke it and have another one. But technically, you cannot amend it. You can revoke it and do another one. But if it's really revocable, then it has to be going on for a minimum 20 years.
Oh, wow.
It's 20 years. After 20 years, technically, it's supposed to be wound up. But a day before the 20 years, you can enlarge it again to continue.
Okay.
So to your answer, it depends. Is it revocable or irrevocable? That would determine that.
Okay. 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 Yeah. All right.
I'm looking at a question there. Somebody is asking a question. How much does it cost to draw a will? A will can be drawn up by yourself if you wish. However, as a lawyer, I always prefer people going through a lawyer because we know the rules that you need to put in place.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if you don't have extensive assets, you can just write your will yourself. Get 2 witnesses, as long as whatever you have in your will not come back to haunt you. But in a situation where you believe you have extensive assets and you want to protect them from your brother, your brother-in-law, your uncle, whatever, I will advise you to get a will drawn up. It's not expensive. It's not an expensive proposition. For $500, you should be able to get your will done.
That's great. Okay, so Barrister, could you please share your contact on the chat so everybody can see it? And Sister Esther, please, can you connect with Barrister offline? I'm sure that all your questions can be answered. I know you have more questions based on the conversations you and I have had. Okay, so Barrister is sharing his contact on the chat, please. Okay, so that's great. Any other questions before we move on to the next common mistake? I am learning a lot today. I'm learning a lot. Go ahead, Uncle Folo. I see you unmuted yourself.
Yes, I'm learning a lot. Thank you so much, Barrister, for the clarifications there. Just a quick one. You did mention that, of course, an individual can have a will from as long as an adult from the age of 18. Okay, and so if you have a will, of course, I mean, back at home, I have a will, for my property back there. If you have a will and you need to update it, based on changes that has happened to you. Maybe if you have acquired more property, maybe you've acquired additional member into your family, and all that, how is there a time interval for you to update your will, maybe every 2 years, every 5 years, or stuff like that?
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you quite well.
Okay, so a will is good forever. It's not susceptible to regular changes. So once you draft your will right now, you can use it. You don't need to change it. However, there are circumstances that can warrant you changing your will. So my advice is, if you need to make minor changes to your will, you don't need to go back to a lawyer. You can do what they call a codicil. A codicil is an addition to the will. Don't print on the will. If you print on the will, it might void it. So you get a sheet of paper, put it at the back of the will, says, I, so hereby change paragraph 3 of my will to include this. But you must have 2 witnesses, again, just like you had it the first time. If there are extensive changes to be made to your will, then you need to do a new will. Extensive changes is when you drafted your will, if you made it specific. For instance, I do a lot of this. I've drafted about 9 this week. I don't do a specific allocation of asset. What do I mean? I don't say my house in Shehu Park will go to A, or my property in Ajah, Lagos will go to B. All I say is all my real estate asset will go to A. I only do specific if I want to give a particular property to somebody. But if I want all my properties to go to my children, for instance, in my will, I just say all my property will go to my children equally. So if I acquire more properties after drafting that will, then I don't need to change it. But if you want your property in Lekki, Nigeria, to go to Teresa, and you want that in Accra to go to Kwame, and the one in South Africa to go to Mandela, then each time you acquire more property, then you need to redo the will to reflect that. But if you generalize it, then you don't need to do that. In any event, if the changes are minor, you do a codicil. But if the changes are major, then you need to do a new will.
Okay, that's perfectly clear. Thank you so much.
That's great. Thank you so much. You know, I see a need here that we're gonna, Barrister, you and I will talk offline, just so we can set up a time when you can come in and clearly educate us on a lot of these things. We need help. Thank you, sir. Okay, so we have time for just one more common mistake discussion, and then we'll wrap it up for today. I'm sharing my screen, and everyone, Barrister's contact is in the chat. Please copy as needed. All right. So we just spent good time elaborating on the OPM and generational planning and wills and estates. Next one, what did I do? Next one is, we're going to have them together. Plan B. Number 9, not having a plan B, depending only on employment income, taking a second job instead of a business plan. Okay. And number 10, we're going to take it together. Pay maximum tax as employees versus contractor or entrepreneurs. So not having a plan B, depending on your unemployment income, paying maximum taxes. So as we probably all know, I hope we do, employees pay taxes at the maximum rate. If you're a self-employed person, business owner, corporation in Canada, you get amazing tax break. I believe that the corporations, some of them get as low as 15% tax, some of them as low as 9% tax, depending on your jurisdiction. But as an employee, sometimes you're taxed at 38%, 48%. In Ontario, the maximum employee tax bracket is 53.53. Okay, so when you are an employee and you earn a salary, your salary is taxed at maximum. But when you are a business owner, you get the advantage of being able to write off your expenses. You can write off your shoes because it's a business attire, a business expense. You can write off your clothing, your suits. You can write off even your haircut. You know, for those, you know, who like to go to the barber once a week, you can write it off. It is a business expense. You're trying to look good and sharp for your business. You can write off equipment, your laptop, your printer, paper, your phone. You can write off part of your house as office space. You can write off your car loan, car expenses, gas. By the time you finish writing off all of that, you've brought your tax bracket to the minimum. But if you're an employee, there's no write-off. So one of the most common mistakes we make in our community is that we love jobs. We love jobs. And that's not saying that jobs are bad. Jobs are great. They help to put food on the table. But at the same time, you need to have a plan B. Okay, so I'm opening it up for discussion. I see our brothers and sisters who are not sharing their video. Please, I was very happy when Esther spoke up. If you want to speak, please unmute yourselves and speak. Let's hear your voice. Again, I'm opening it up for discussion. Fola, Justine, Barrister. How can our people move forward by going on a plan B strategy?
Dr. Rose, you said it all. We don't work with why we need to work hard. My preference would be for us to work smarter rather than working too hard.
Mm-hmm.
I've been on some event where people were literally fighting on the number of jobs they've done or they are currently doing or they were currently doing then.
Mm.
I remember attended an event where the guest speaker was trying to give a statistic of immigrants, especially people from Africa. And one of the participants raised up their hand and said, look, the data you're relying upon is just wrong. Then the speaker said, wow. He said, look, because I know I'm a nurse, I know some of us that have at least 4 or 5 jobs.
Mm.
So our people feel that this is a badge of honor for us to have, to have as many jobs as possible. As you rightly said, if you have too many employment, then you tend to make money and pay taxes at a very high bracket.
Yes.
And so it's important that while it's good to work hard, you need to work smart. And how do you work smart? You need to have a side, well, I won't call it a side hustle. You have to really know what else do you need to do by way of investment or starting a side hustle that is yours. Start a small business by the wayside. We're in this country right now, the opportunities are there. You are limited by what you can do by yourself.
Yes.
What you can do by yourself. Then you'll be able to control your expenses, your deductions, and all that. But when you work for A, they pay you, your taxes is taken off. I'm not saying you should not pay your taxes. I'm into paying taxes because we enjoy amenities here. We need to support it. But being able to streamline your income so that you pay minimum taxes, it's legal. And how do you do that? You use the money you are making, invest it, build that company. Then it can be a deduction to your company while you keep on paying your taxes as little as possible. While you are developing your company, you employ people and those people will pay taxes. So you're indirectly paying the taxes, but what you should have paid in taxes has already helped to create employment for people.
Yes.
So that will be my contribution in that respect.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. And I want to recognize our elder, James Akano. Welcome, sir. And thanks for sharing your video. We were just wrapping up, but I'm going to have you have the last say. We were just wrapping up, and today we've had amazing insights, and really thank God for today's discussions, and we're just blessed with having Barrister here to help us tonight. And so, Mr. Kano, I'm going to share my screen one last time, and then we can wrap things up on what we discussed tonight. And then, Mr. Kano, I'm going to take a minute or two comments from you, and then we're done for the night. So tonight we started from number 5. Number 5 was not working together as one, and we challenged each other. We challenged ourselves to learn to work more together, and also those who are new to find associations of our cultural associations, because there's a lot of people in those associations who are willing to help new people and willing to help one another. Don't be isolated. Go find your people and they will help you. All right. Spending our money outside our community. Please, if you know your brother does the same thing as the other person, patronize your brother first. Okay. And for those of us who are business people, let's give our best. Let's have ethical conduct so that way we're not disappointing those who patronize us. Not hiding, basically hiding information from one another. Let's show the way. And then we talked about OPM, generational planning. And we just wrapped up with having a plan B and not depending on employment income. And basically, common mistake number, the last one for today, 9, is maximum taxes. We need to pay less taxes because we didn't come here to just give away all our money, right?
Mm.
So that's really it that we did today. And Mr. Akano, wrap it up for us.
Oh, sorry, I was very late. I didn't join the meeting very early on. But I caught what Barrister Alade said, and I just want to reiterate that the side also is very, very important. A side also is very important. It could be side. Try to find a hobby that pays you money. I remember 40 something years ago, I just decided that investment will be my side also. So I went with it. I came back from work. I went to my computer to learn investment. That's all. So a side also is very, very, very important. And what is good about investment is that the money you make in investment, long-term investment, is capital gains. And capital gain is less than the money you make in salary. Okay, salaries are compensation. You pay 100% of your money. But when you invest money, you pay capital gain, and you only pay 50% of the capital gain. So that's the difference. That's what I want to share with people, to really think about it very well. Business and investment is very important. Thank you.
Thank you so very much. And that's a wrap for tonight. God bless you all. Thanks for being here. And I'm really hoping that we're getting good value from these town halls. Please share. I'm going to post the video tonight. Please share with as many of your friends and family as possible. Let's help one another. Let's become stronger in our community. Let's begin to rise more. And again, thank you to everyone who contributed tonight. God bless you and God bless our community. Amen.